On my recent trip to Mallorca, I decided to hire a bike instead of bringing my own. In this video, I want to examine the pros and cons of hiring versus bringing your own bike on holiday. First of all, this is the bike that I hired from Hertzler Bicycle Holidays. For me, the hire process was quite easy and straightforward, and from that point of view, I can recommend Hertzler. However, I do know other people that have hired from other places, and they are happy too. Let's start by looking at the costs, as these can be significant. These are a summary of my costs. Yours may vary. However, as you can see, for me, there was only about a £20 difference. If you're taking your own bike, here's a list of things you may need to do, although it's not necessarily complete, as it will depend on your circumstances and your bike. Obviously, unless you're going to leave your bike behind, there's a similar list for the return journey. For me, the most significant part of this fly list is having to manhandle a large box or bike to and from and around the airport. Also, as you have to check it in, you have to be at the airport several hours earlier than if you go by the hire route. I should say, when I hired my bike, I just went with carry-on luggage, and therefore I didn't have to check any in, and that saved me a lot of time. For me, the most significant issue on the hire list is that the bike station you're collecting the bike from may not be open at a convenient time, or be in a convenient place. When taking your bike on a plane, there's always the risk that it will get lost, delayed, or damaged. Although this doesn't happen very often, it can happen, as I can attest. When you hire a bike, there is the danger that you just don't like the bike, although most bike stations will allow you to swap it for a different one. In my case, I did quite like my hire bike. Obviously, if you take your own bike, it'll probably fit you really well and have familiar handling. My hire bike also had the benefit of mechanical breakdown cover, which you wouldn't get if you had your own bike. I also took out some extra insurance against the bike being damaged. There are some other benefits of hiring a bike. For instance, you could get one that you couldn't otherwise afford. Perhaps you want to check out electronic gears, or maybe hire an e-bike. You may well be just dabbling and trying out a bike that you wouldn't otherwise ride, or you might be trying before you buy, so to speak. When I started this video, I thought, even though I hired my own bike, I need to present the alternative option of flying with your bike in a balanced way. However, it didn't work out like that. On almost every metric, hiring a bike came out on top. For me, the convenience and the lower risks meant that the additional cost of hiring was well worth it. Unless you're on a very tight budget, give serious consideration to hiring, as it seems to be better in almost every other way. However, as always, there are some caveats. The Mallorcan trip I went on was a single-centered holiday, and therefore I returned to the same hotel each evening. It was therefore easy to return the bike once I'd finished the holiday. For trips where you don't return back to the base, hiring may be less convenient, and certainly for the majority of touring trips, I'd want to use my own bike. In the next video, I'll take a look at what I did to set my hire bike up, but in the meantime, I think I'll go for a ride.